And we are live. Welcome to a special 9 a.m. edition of the MLB Strategy Show. I am Josh Engleman, here to break down tonight's 7-game main slate. You've also got a nice 4-gamer at 6:35 and 6:40. So if that's interesting to you, you have another interesting slate to play. However, I will not be covering that. I'm just hitting the 7-game main for today. I had to go off a little bit early. I know we're probably not going to have the biggest crowd in the world here today, but I got something going on in the morning that I got to take care of. So we needed to start this one off a little bit earlier than we normally do. That's fine. We've still got Live Before Lock later tonight. That will be myself and I believe Greg Ehrenberg breaking down this slate at 6 o'clock. So if you need more thoughts on baseball, later tonight, I will be back doing it all again. Shout out to Owner's Box for being the sponsor. We'll hit on them in a little bit, but first, just got to keep it moving. I hate that I got to play this Red Sox-Yankees game again. I'm going to have quite a bit of these dudes. I have for the past 2 days, and I certainly do again here today. But we'll get through all of that as we move ourselves forward. Good morning to everybody. Small crowd here. Steve Liedeman, I think we've got here. So we've got Steve Cummings and Liedeman. Liedeman? Lee DeMan? Lee DeMan. That's what we're going with here. What's going on, everybody? Good to see you guys. I'm going to get into this right now. There's going to be a lot of people that are showing up at like 9:45 that are going to be pretty bummed that this one's over. But let's just get into it. I think that's going to be a little bit easier. We're going to start it off. Yeah, the lineup, the Yankees lineup last night was not ideal, and I had quite a bit of it. But what are you going to do? 4.3 run implied total for the Blue Jays, 4.1 for the Rangers. Yusei Kikuchi going on here for the Jays. Jordan Montgomery going for the Rangers. I just opened a window in the wrong tab, but that's fine. As we start this one off, 17% ownership coming into Kikuchi. As of right now, he's 8,600. No real problems with that. I have him 14% to be a top 2 scoring pitcher here. And as I look at it, that seems about right. I think he should be, around 15% owned. He's 17. That seems good enough for me. I only have 7%. I don't mind the price at all, but he doesn't go exceptionally deep into games. He's a good bet for strikeouts, but this isn't necessarily a great strikeout matchup against Texas. He does give up a little bit of power to righties, so Semien, Garver, Duran, they do stand out as the guys that you probably want to have your eye on a little bit more, on the opposite side, that is. But for Kikuchi himself, feels like an okay spot, but nothing crazy. Like, I just don't really want to target the Rangers. I think we can find some better options today. On the opposite side, Jordan Montgomery, 8,400, 4% owned. I have him 9% top 2 pitcher. I think he should probably be around 9% owned. So I do think that Montgomery is a little under-owned, but it's not anything super actionable. Upwards of 10%, I think, is fine. For Montgomery, 0.081 strikeout rate, X ISO against lefties with a 21% K rate. Against righties, same exact K rate, 173 X ISO. Right now, the Blue Jays are a team that certainly leans right in a pretty big way normally, and are certainly going to do that against someone like Jordan Montgomery. Projected lineup that I have right now is 8 righties. Lots. Well, I don't want to say a lot of power, but the top of the order, a lot of power. Projected 200 ISO to Springer, Bichette, Guerrero, all righties, 1, 2, 3, and then Davis Schneider at 183. There's potential for a lot of problems here for Jordan Montgomery. And I'm getting to a bit of the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's see. I need to add that quickly. Just sum that up and divide it by 8. Yeah, so they're like 5.5% owned as of right now. We can call it 6% if we want. Rangers also 6%? That seems okay. That works. I have 7 of Toronto. I have 9 stacks. I have them 8th in top stack, 10th in top value. So sort of middle of the pack, but I see the path for Toronto a little bit cleaner than I see it for some other teams. Like, I think the Rangers are basically the same stack. We have the Blue Jays 6.1% to be a top 2 stack, and 6 for the Rangers to be a top stack. So we're separated by a 10th of a percentage point, the exact same value metric. I like the Blue Jays side of this one as a bats situation more than I like the Ranger side, because I think these righty bats really play up well against Jordan Montgomery. Bug Boy, I don't think you've ever been banned? I mean, if you got banned, it wasn't from me. So I like this game a little bit. I'll probably be a little bit higher on the hitting than I am on the pitching. Kikuchi's ownership will play a big role. Ranking this game is very difficult. It's probably Kikuchi first, Blue Jays bats, Rangers bats, Montgomery. But I think you can make a case for any order. Well, Bug Boy, if you got banned for the Evan Carter take, it wasn't me. I'll tell you that much. So I don't know what to tell you there, but I would have never done that. Glad you're here. It was a terrible take, by the way. Let's not ever forget that. But no, I mean, the chat is filled with terrible takes every single day. What else is new? Sean V does it every single day for 5 years. Thoughts on KPJ? Assuming he did what he did, I hope they bury him under the jail. He's a garbage human being. If that's true, if every report is true, I hope he never plays in the NBA again. Again, he seems to be a high-level piece of shit across multiple years. Yeah, Bug Boy, still wrong. Maybe I should ban you for your continued pushing of the fact that he was a terrible play. I think he was like 2% owned in any real cash game. That's you should not be playing that guy. You're making a mistake. I don't care if he hit 4 home runs that day. It was a bad play, whether or not, no matter how the outcome was. Mets and Diamondbacks. 3.8 run implied total for the Mets. 4.5 for the Diamondbacks. We've got Joey Lucchesi going for New York. Zach Gallen going for the Diamondbacks. We're going to start with Gallen. 9,800. He's the second most expensive pitcher on today's slate. $300 behind Blake Snell. Nice enough spot here against the Mets. Pitchers park, runs play down, homers play down a little bit. Mets offense is good enough to me, at least, but 3.8 run implied total certainly points us towards Gallen. Gallen 166 x ISO to lefties, 180 to righties, but somewhere in that 25-26% K rate range. He looks really good. I have him 27% top 2 pitcher, 11% top 2 value pitcher. He's 31% owned. Should probably be in that like 20 to 25% range. I have 24%, but I have no problems with the 31% ownership. I think that Zach Gallen looks pretty good here. Maybe a hair high, but I think when you start looking at the entire pitching slate, I think it's pretty easy to want to get to more Gallen. So anywhere around that 30 number seems fine. That's probably more of like the upper bound. And then Lucchesi on the opposite side, 6,200. I got him 8% top 2 pitcher, 19% top 2 value. There's something here. He's 11% owned. I think that's basically spot on. I'm not getting to as much. I'm finding myself not really getting to the bottom tier at all. Nobody like Braxton Garrett at 13%. He's 7,700. Below Braxton Garrett, it's 8% of Tanner Houck. So I don't have a ton of Lucchesi, but he's no worse than any other value option today. He's stretched out. He has the ability to go deeper. The park's going to help him. You're not ultra worried about the Diamondbacks. Not a great strikeout matchup. Certainly a bunch of power, but it's not like a terrifying spot for a $6,200 Lucchesi. Not in this park, at least. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a little bit of Lucchesi, and we're going to get to Gallen with pretty solid regularity. I've got a lot of Hunter Brown and Clevenger, Gallen, and Pepio are all like in the same tier. Hitting is going to be difficult for me to get to, at least on the Mets side. I can't imagine really wanting to target Zach Gallen in New York today. I have them 14th in top stack. That's dead last for today. 12th in value, so it's not like they're cheap. They don't run out well in terms of projected positions, not a single MPE. So I find the Mets very difficult to get to. I have 1% of the Mets. I don't have a single stack. I certainly have some Arizona on the opposite side, though. 5th in top stacks, 6th in top value. I have 14 stacks. Now, they are 8% owned, and that's about what I have. So I'm just with the field at this point. Best plays on the Diamondbacks are going to be at the top of the order. The Martes, the Tommy Phams, the Christian Walkers. I think Evan Longoria is at least a little bit sneaky. A 3K third baseman if you want to try to buy a cheap home run, or Emmanuel Rivera, either direction. I think those are decent options if you're trying to get a little cheap, trying to buy some offense. But as I look at this game, it's pretty clear to me it's Gallen, Diamondbacks bats, Lucchesi, Mets bats. Fun start. 2 games down already. We've got 5 more to go for this main slate. Bug Boy, do you listen at all? It doesn't matter if you won or lost. The decision of whether or not it's a good play is made before lock, not after lock. It was a bad cash play. You can evaluate this in a million different ways, all of which are available to you. Or you can just trust me. That would probably be the easier thing. Just trusting that I'm telling you the truth. All right, schedule for the rest of today. Let's see what we've got going on. Maybe? For some reason, I can't. There we go. Couldn't filter the schedule sheet. So I'm obviously on the strategy show today, 9 a.m. NFL strategy show, Laffy and Neil. That'll kick off at 11 a.m. We've got PGA strategy today. After a little bit of time off, PGA is back. I don't know what contest this is, but you should watch it. Ben Raza, Eric Lindquist, talking golf, and then myself and Greg back at 6 p.m. for MLB Live Before Lock. Well, time to get into the game that I'm going to have a ton of. Can't avoid it. Don't know what to do. Really annoyed by it. The Boston Red Sox, 5.3 run implied total, taking on the New York Yankees, 4.9 run implied total. It's Tanner Houck on the hill for Boston. Clark Schmidt for the Yanks. Schmidt, 3% owned. I have 4. He should be about 5. There's not too much to add on Schmidt. Tanner Houck, actually, 16% owned here. He's 6,800. I got him 12% top 2 value, 20% top 2 pitcher, 20% top 2 value. He should be about 15% owned. Now, I'm a little bit lighter because of the Yankees, but I don't mind going to Tanner Houck here. But the guy that I need to talk about, or the team that I need to talk about, is the Yanks. That's where I want to start. Now, there is a little bit more ownership coming into the Red Sox right now. I have this whole game. I think it's clearly the best option. 119 park factor for runs. You just expect more scoring here. We have about 10% ownership coming into the Red Sox, about 9 to the Yanks. I have the Yankees second in top stack, second in top value. I have close to 50 Yankee stacks. They're in 25% of my lineups. Like DJ LeMahieu is, if DJ LeMahieu is really 3% owned, I'm going to have infinite. I've got 20% to Judge, Torres, Stanton. Austin Wells looks great at 2,700. If you're looking to try to buy a catcher home run, although he can't hit worth shit so far since he's been up. I want every bit of the Yankees. They're on the road. They're in Boston. The park is at least neutral for power, but certainly plays up runs. Great implied total here. There's not too much that keeps me away from wanting to get to the Yankees. The only thing that really slows me down is Tanner Houck doesn't give up any power to righties. He gives up a ton of it to lefties, 241 x ISO to lefties. The only lefties in the lineup for the Yankees right now are Austin Wells and Florial, who had a really nice game yesterday. I hope he leads off again at flat 2K. However, I still want to go there. It's a little bit of a bummer that this matchup doesn't fit a matchup against Tanner Houck more. Now, the Red Sox on the opposite side, they're 10% owned. I've got them too. 33 Red Sox stacks, 18% exposure, because on the opposite side, they get to take on Clark Schmidt. Now, Schmidt, 177 x ISO to lefties. A 350 x WOBA, not great. Sub 20% K rate. He does get strikeouts against righties, and there's not as much power, but Verdugo, Devers, Casas, Yoshida, Abreu. This is a really tough spot for Clark Schmidt. I love getting to the Boston side. I have, right now, 43% of all of my hitting exposure is to this game, including 82 of my 150 stacks. I'm going to have them because I've had them over the past 2 days or 3 days. Nothing's going to change here. Get yourself to the Boston, New York game. To me, this is the best game on the slate, bar none. Not even close. I want all of it. One of these sides are going to look great. That's my hope. But I have everything. Like, on a day where we're projecting Devers to be 15% owned, I am more than okay having 30-something% of Rafael Devers. That's the kind of guy I want to take a stand on. Ultra talented. If Yoshida is 4% owned at 4,600, give me all of the Yoshida against Clark Schmidt. Bug Boy, what are you talking about, man? Statistically speaking, I got nothing. Astros and A's. The Astros have a 5.4 run implied total, taking on the A's 3.5 runs there. So they are favorites on the run line for at least the second straight day. Hunter Brown going for Houston, Paul Blackburn for Oakland. Hunter Brown is mildly popular, 41% owned. That is the high mark on today's slate. He has a 27% K rate against both hands. 177x ISO to lefties, which is a little scary against like the Ryan Noda, Seth Browns of the world, but Tyler Soderstrom to a degree. Hard to not at least want to jam in Hunter Brown. The strikeout stuff is here. There's not a lot of quality hitting for Oakland, but there is a lot of power. So like they can do some damage, but the more likely scenario is that there's not a lot of base runners out there to begin with. I have 59% Hunter Brown. I have him projected as the highest scoring pitcher by more than 2 fantasy points. Very easy to me. He's 8,200. This price tag is comically bad for what we're getting today. So as I look at it, Hunter Brown, top pitching option for today, and not even all that over-owned at 41%. I have him 36% top 2 pitcher, 30% top value. He's properly owned, even at 40. Love him. Don't get away from it. It looks great. Paul Blackburn, 6,600. If it wasn't the Astros, I wouldn't really have much issue trying to get a little bit of Blackburn, but 3% owned, that's about where it should be. Facing Houston is tough. Massive run total here. It's just not good. That said, while I do have 59% of Hunter Brown, I do want to have at least a little bit of Oakland. They're 3% owned. Other than Langoliers at 8, the next highest owned guy is 4. I have 11 Oakland stacks. I like being on the opposite side of the Hunter Brown ownership. I like some of this lefty power. They have enough guys that can drive the ball that on the day where Hunter Brown doesn't like have maybe the best control, they can hurt him if base runners get on. So I like the idea of having at least a little bit of a sample against Hunter Brown today. I don't want too much, but I have 5%. They're 3% owned. On the opposite side for Houston, they are very expensive. I have them 13th in top value, only one team more expensive. I have them 3rd in top stack, though. No one's going to be surprised, but if you want to go to Altuve, Alvarez, Bregman, Tucker, you certainly need to pay for it. Now, those guys are quite a bit owned. The Astros might be the highest owned team right now, or at least something close to it. Nobody more than 14%, but you are getting ownership there. I am not getting to Houston. I'm just finding other spots to pay. I'm obviously all over the Red Sox, the Yankees, some of the A's. So I am lighter on Houston, but let's not try to mince words. They're 12% to be a top 2 pitcher or a top 2 stack. They look really good in terms of ceiling. I wouldn't even say that he was an excellent GPP play, but he was a GPP play. He was never a cash play. You don't want to play a cheap, unpopular guy in cash. That's the wrong direction. White Sox and Royals. 4.3 run implied total for Chicago. 3.5 for the Royals. Mike Clevinger on the hill for Chicago. Alec Marsh looking like he's going to be the long man for Kansas City. 36% ownership coming into Clevinger today. 7,900. That is a very, very nice price tag for him. I got him 26% top two pitcher, 24% top two value. He might be like a hair over owned because he's pretty close to Hunter Brown, but I think he's like, a sizable projection behind Hunter Brown. I still like Clevinger a lot. I have 26%, but I think 36% is probably a tad high. 30 seems like a more reasonable scenario. Clevinger doesn't have the same strikeout stuff he used to have. It's around 20 to 21%, depending on the hand. 192x ISO to lefties. So MJ Melendez, Michael Massey, Nick Pratto, they're going to look pretty damn good here in terms of one-offs. But ultimately, only a 129x ISO to righties for Clevinger. I think he's going to see a lot of success. Just needs to keep that ball in the park against the lefties. Marsh on the opposite side, 5,500. Good enough value guy. He's the cheapest guy on today's slate. He doesn't project poorly by any means. I have 7%. He should probably be around 5. Just don't go too crazy. Bats, unfortunately, this is a Kansas City game for me. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Clevinger is probably a tad over-owned in this mid-tier. So I have 20 Royal stacks. I have 11% ownership. They're 5% owned. Nobody in double digits. 9% expected ownership to Witt is the high mark. I've got 22% of Bobby Witt. I've got 21 of Salvador Perez. I like where I'm at here. Now, do I want the big stand on the righties? Not really, but I still have Melendez. I have a bit of Massey. I don't have as much Pratto. But if Clevinger's going to be in a third of lineups, I need to have at least some outlook to the Royals. I don't think they look all that bad, especially with this game being in Chicago. This one plays up power. 112 park factor to righties, 110 to lefties. So if Clevinger's ownership is incorrect, if that happens to be a bit lower, then I probably won't have nearly as much Royals. But I do see them as an interesting pivot while still getting to Clevinger. Like 26% Clevinger and 11% Royals. I'm happy being on the extremes of both of those things. White Sox are pulling some love. 9% owned in the aggregate. I only have 3 stacks and 3.5%. There's so much of their ownership is a value-based thing. I only have them 11th in top stack, but they're third in value because it's Lou Bob at 5,600, and then everybody else is 3,800 or below. But I want to pay close attention to the run total. 4.3 runs for the White Sox. No, thank you. I'm not interested. So if they're going to pull some ownership, that's not a team that I'm worried about. I would rather have the Royals bats. So as I rank this game, it goes Clevinger, Royals bats, White Sox bats, Marsh. More water. All right. We got a little bit of talking to do, folks. I got to share my screen. You guys know what time it is. It's time to talk about Owner's Box, presenting sponsor of this show. You don't want to miss it. Now, I've got it pulled up because they finally have their contest for week 2 in the NFL. Now, I'm going to hit you with what you get. Click the link in the description of the video to sign up at Owner's Box. If you have any trouble when you're clicking the link and you run an ad blocker, just turn off the ad blocker. You'll be fine. You can turn it back on when you're done. Something messes with the link. So if you sign up, deposit at least $10, you are going to get 1 week of our NFL Sims Max package. Now, that's going to work for it's basically every single bit of everything you could want on the NFL side, including our full Sims tool, which will allow you to use the Sims tool on Owner's Box to build the lineups that you're signing up for. But if you're playing on FanDuel or DraftKings, you can do the exact same thing. Everything is going to be available to you. You can generate up to 10,000 lineups in about a minute. It's an incredible opportunity. And go to stokastic.com/join NFL if you want to read more about it in general. But that's not all you get. You can get up to $500 in bonus cash. They call it Owner's Bucks at Owner's Box. So if you put in 500, you're going to get 500. If you put in 100, you get 100. I'd recommend putting in as much as you can because you want as much bonus. It's a full 100%. Contest is a little smaller than it was last week, but it's still 50K to first. Close to 14,000 entries, so about 2,000 less. It's probably going to have reduced rake. That would be my expectation. Maybe it gets to overlay, which would be great. But even a sizable chunk of reduced rake will still make this one of the better contests you can get into. So please click that link in the description of the video. Sign up at Owner's Box. It's here right now. 175K kickoff, 50K to first. That is the flagship contest for week 2 in the NFL on Owner's Box, and you do not want to miss it. Bug Boy, you're not victory lapping. You failed. You are loss lapping over and over and over again. You don't seem to be listening. It's not a victory lap if you're incorrect every time. I don't think you understand what the word victory is. It seems like the word cash and the word victory are just not calibrated to the proper definitions in your brain. 2 games to go here, folks. For the 60 of you that are here, hit that like button. Yeah, so Zach, there's a button. If you go into your profile, there's a button that shows you how many Owner's Bucks you have. And whatever you've already cleared, there's a number that it says it. You just type that number into a box, click convert, and it immediately becomes regular cash in your account. I did it this morning, and I had like, $90 or something like that. So, yeah, it's there, and I did it, and it takes a half second. Brewers taking on the Marlins. 4.1 run implied total for the Brewers. 4.2 for the Marlins. Colin Rea going for Milwaukee. Braxton Garrett going for the Marlins. Not much to talk about here on the pitching side. Colin Rea is 4% owned. I have 5. He's probably a little under-owned, but this is a terrible strikeout matchup against Miami. So, if you get to 5%, I think that's fine. Just not a guy that you should be prioritizing. Braxton Garrett on the opposite side. 7,700 for Garrett. I got him 11% top 2 pitcher, 11% top 2 value. He's 11% owned. I have 13. I think he should be 12. There's nothing more obvious to me than Braxton Garrett being right around 10%. Josh, slate size, context understood. Do you feel you tend to concentrate your player pool versus more spraying? It's different every day. It really is. Some days I'll have, 10 teams and 15 stacks apiece, and some it's just like, I have 75% of my stacks going to 2 teams. It's always different. All right, let's talk bats here, which I basically don't have, but the field does. 7% ownership coming into Milwaukee. Around 8 coming into the Marlins. No real extremes. I basically don't have anything here. I just kind of don't want this game. The run total is not very good. We're talking 4.2 as a high for either side. Braxton Garrett's solid. Colin Rea is not a problem. I don't have a single Brewers stack. I only have 1 Marlins stack. I have 8% Jazz Chisholm. He's kind of chalky, probably should be. Both of these teams are better values than they are talented. I have the Brewers 12th in top stack. I do have the Marlins 7th and 5th in value. Everything's fine in that regard. I just think there are better options if the ownership is already there. Other than this park playing up power a bit, because it does play down runs a bit, but I really just don't like this game. A little bit of Braxton Garrett, maybe some one-off bats on either end. Otherwise, I really don't want this at all. No, this is not going to be starting at 9 o'clock from now on. Only reason it's doing it is because I have something that I couldn't push this morning, so I had to start this one a little bit earlier. Yeah, I mean, the most exposed bat I have here is Chisholm at 8, Josh Bell at 6, and then it's 4. I just don't have this game other than Braxton Garrett. Ew, it's just gross. It's just gross across the board. We close it out. The only thing that's going to really suck about this main slate, all these games start at 7 except for the Dodgers-Padres game, which starts then at 10:10. Very, very annoying. Give me 1 second, folks. All right, all good. Final game, Dodgers and Padres. Interesting pitching matchup here. Ryan Pepiot going for the Dodgers. They have a 4.7 run implied total. Taking on the Padres, Blake Snell on the hill, 10,100. Blake Snell, the most expensive pitcher, but only $100 above 10K. And yet, he's 10% owned. And I think that's, like, about right. I thought I would love him, but okay, we'll start here. Obviously, terrifying power park. Power plays up massively in LA. And then I do think he's 19% top 2 pitcher. I think he should probably be in the 10 to 15% owned range. I only have 8 as of right now. I'm not getting there. I'm getting to Pepiot on the opposite side. Now, obviously, Blake Snell, massive strikeout potential, but Betts, Freeman, Will Smith, Rosario, Kike, Rojas, these guys don't strike out a lot. So very tough matchup for Blake Snell. I'll have some, but not a lot. Pepiot, though, 200 pitches against lefties so far. No strikeouts, but 0.045 x ISO. He's given up a bunch of power to righties, only 100 pitches, 32% K rate. I think he's like a league average-ish guy at 8,900 today. It's a terrible matchup against the Padres. Not great at all. Tatis, Soto, Machado, Bogarts. Like, it's not even a great strikeout matchup. But for some strange reason, because, like, I don't think that he's all that different than Kikuchi today, but Kikuchi's twice his owned. He's clearly behind Zach Gallen, but Gallen's 3.5 times his owned. I have 24% of Ryan Pepiot here. I'm not entirely sure what's causing it, because it's not like he projects amazing, but his lack of ownership is just appealing to me. I have 23% Ryan Pepiot. Terrifying spot. Terrifying. Very curious to see what that ends up looking like when we get to live before lock. I mean, that's because he is the GOAT. He's had the greatest NBA career ever. But, yeah, I think it's really cool that he would want to be in the Olympics again. Shouldn't everybody be really happy at that? That, like, one of the most famous basketball players and most legendary basketball players ever wants to play again? Isn't that good? Isn't that better than having, like, fucking Walker Kessler on the team? So, yeah. I mean, they're going to steamroll everybody if it's Steph and Durant. And I mean, I just want Steph to play because he's never been on the Olympic team, which is insane. Bug Boy, you don't even know what a positive ROI player means. You're using terms you've heard, but you don't know how to define. I don't even know what that would mean or what kind of contest you're talking about or anything there. Let's finish this one off for Padres bats and Dodgers bats. Right now, they're both similarly owned. It's hard to want to get to the Dodgers against Blake Snell, but, you know, obviously the top of the order, they don't give a shit that it's Blake Snell. I have them 6th in top stack. The problem is they're the most expensive team on the slate, or at least close to it. I have them 14th in value. That's dead last. I have 2.5%. They're 8% owned. I like the top of the order. I just don't know how much I'll ever get to the Dodgers. And then for the Padres, I have 7 stacks. I have 6%. I like getting to the Padres bats more than the Dodgers, obviously. I wish Pepiot would get more ownership. It would make me like the Padres side of this one more. But to get to Tatis or Soto or Machado, I love that 2-3-4 combination. So I'll be close to neutral on the Padres just because I don't mind targeting Pepiot. I've got a lot more trouble trying to target Blake Snell. Well, guys, we have made it through 7 games way quicker than I would have ever expected. Way, way quicker. That's good. Bug Boy, I already explained to you why you're wrong. You're wrong because what they score is irrelevant. You're judging based on the results, which is not how you do that. If you knew the results beforehand, that would be great, but the results are non-actionable items. You can't judge the choices that you make based on the results that come out in DFS. If you do that, You'll never get a good answer. Are Cubs still the play on the 3-game early? I have not looked at the early slate at all, Steve, so I would not be able to give you an answer there. 0% look. I won't be around to even look at that slate today. All right, favorite pitchers for me as of right now. Hunter Brown, number 1, not close. Mike Clevenger, Zach Gallen, and Ryan Pepio are my next tier, with Ryan Pepio being a guy that not as many people are going to be on in the same way that Zach Gallen and Mike Clevenger are. For stacks, for me, it's Yankees, it's Red Sox, and then it's getting weird with the Kansas City Royals. All right, Bug Boy. I would love to know why you were correct in your assessment of his value in a DFS lineup. What is your evaluation process for that? Or are you just because he played well, you were right in his value? That's what I assume you're going with here, which just isn't how this works. And you were wrong about the cash part. It's the part you went on and on and on and on about, even though I told you over and over and over again it wasn't correct. So just assume it's going to be the same situation 3 days from now with whatever the hell we're doing, or you'll figure out you were wrong again. That seems like the more likely scenario. Just guessing, though. Guys, I got nothing left. This was pretty easy. 7 games up, 7 games down. FanDuel contenders already posted. DraftKings contenders already posted. If you want to go check those out, they are on the YouTube channel already. Again, NFL Strategy Show. We've got that one coming up at 11 a.m. That'll be Laffy and Neil. And then, reminder, myself, Greg Ehrenberg, 6 p.m. tonight. That's when we get a bunch of these. We'll have, for Live Before Lock, we're going to have every lineup but the Dodgers and Padres for sure. So we're gonna have an opportunity to really talk about what's being played for most of this show. I assume by the time we start, we'll have at worst one lineup that isn't the 10 o'clock start lineups that haven't come in yet. That'll be very talkable because I don't expect to have a ton of Dodgers or Padres to talk about. So it'll be a really fun Live Before Lock show. But that's all I got, everybody. Make sure you're signing up at Owner's Box, presenting sponsor of this show. Sign up for the Sims tool if you just want it in general. Hit the like button if you haven't done it yet. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. All that good stuff. Enjoy your Wednesday, everybody. A lovely hump day. Have some fun. You know where we'll be. Tomorrow, we're back at 10 o'clock tomorrow. 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Talking Shop, MLB Strategy Show. Later on, everybody.